Anomaly Agent is an action-adventure platformer by Few Games, set in a retro 2D style akin to older classics like Another World or Return to Monkey Skull Island. I don't want to spoil too much in the first couple seconds of my video, but I assure you, this game has an aesthetic it absolutely pulls off, and a combat system that is so satisfying with fairly difficult gameplay to accompany. So without further ado, let's go over Anomaly Agent, and there are some light story spoilers ahead. You play as an agent of TDAY, the agency tasked with seeking out anomalies and capturing them, at which point they have a reputation of either locking these anomalies away forever or making them agents for the company, kind of like a Suicide Squad member. And all of this stems from a freak accident that happened years and years ago that caused random citizens to become empowered with anomaly powers and wiped out just as many citizens. After that event, TDAY was created, and they've been on the hunt for anomalies ever since. Your introduction to the game and its mechanics is by hunting down the gravity anomaly. Quickly, you're introduced to the combat and mobility system, and guys, this combat is the closest you will ever get to feeling like John Wick. I mean it, it's so good. Each encounter is one of those intense hallway scenes, just like, ugh. Every instance is this frantic struggle to exchange blows and counter attacks and shoot your gun and get space to just breathe. It's just so good. Every situation is a full-out knockdown, drag-out fight, and it's just so badass. You have your basic punch and gun combo that you start with, and then you earn the ability to parry with a briefcase and a bow staff, and all of this is so goddamn stylish, you bet your ass it is. Even the air dodge, or just regular dodge mechanic, can be utilized in such a way that you're exchanging blows with the enemy, slipping underneath their feet, and getting to continue the combo. You eventually unlock some stronger attacks too that add finesse and flair to your basic attacks. Often it's finishing with a spin-around gunshot to the head, and it's challenging, engaging, it's full of situational awareness that I personally just can't get enough of. I found myself starting fights with massive mobs of enemies in hallway situations that didn't even call for it. They told me I didn't need to fight anyone. I just simply wanted to see if I could do it, if I was good enough to clear the hallways. And yeah, it took a couple times. They are very challenging situations, but I did it. I didn't do it every time, but I did it. Another mechanic that you wouldn't think would be here is a morality system in the dialogue, and better yet, it's not as straightforward as you'd expect either. For instance, there's a specific interaction with a boss where he gives you the whole Macho Man Randy Savage trash talking like he's working a WWE promo, and you're given two dialogue options, and one is fairly straightforward, the get out of my way stuff, and that's the bad option. And the good one is essentially playing up to the whole wrestling match thing and being like, "No, brother, it's you's going down, for I am White Pants," or whatever my name is. And of course, that's the one that's good. It makes him happy. So sometimes you're left considering what that person might want to hear as opposed to what you might actually want to say, because there are some really good, witty responses that actually kind of make people sad. Nonetheless, I found the dialogue and conversations were some of the best parts of my experience with this game. On your last day before your big promotion, the time anomaly wreaks havoc and 4 individuals were flagged with the time anomaly's energy. You're told you won't get your big promotion by your no-nonsense jerk of a boss until all the rogues are caught, which I think is just plain rude. I already opened my gifts, we're already at the party, we're having cake, and now I'm essentially told I'm working overtime? Jesus. Graphically, Anomaly Agent could briefly be considered rough around the edges if you grew up after like 2000, maybe 2001. But if you can see past that, it's absolutely crushing the aesthetic. Running through the various arenas and hallways, you come across so much detail, whether it's the stuff in the foreground, like the rats running around, or the graffiti on the walls in the background, or even just like the scrolling view as you progress through the level. If you could take a level and stretch it out into one panoramic view, it would look like a genuine work of art. And like I said earlier, it really does harken back to other games like Another World that are both beautiful but incredibly unforgiving. All that sprite work is so intricately detailed, it's hard not to get lost in the art and end up accidentally taking a punch. Speaking of getting punched, you might not catch it right away, but your character's sprite becomes more and more rugged when your health lowers. You go from standing tall and cool like a typical anime lead character, but after a couple of hits, your posture's crumpled over, your tie is loose and hanging, and your fists are up like Henry Cavill reloading his arms in Mission Impossible. It's one of the many neat details in this game that I absolutely love. There's so many in this game that it's honestly hard not to go over them all, and I'll just leave it at those that I did bring up. So you're off to locate and bring in those 4 Anomaly individuals, but the story, despite seeming rather straightforward, really starts to twist and turn in absolutely bizarre ways. There's even some really ingenious time travel and paradox loop stuff that is really way more creative than what we've gotten out of Hollywood storytelling in the last couple years. Up until the last minutes, I was fully engaged in the plot's resolve and what the heck was going to happen next, and let me just say, the story is really good, if not just a little quick to try and wrap everything up with a Deus Ex Machina explanation that's a little not that great. There was a couple of instances of mystery that really hooked me, and then once they were revealed, I personally just felt they fell really flat. Beyond that, just in terms of story in relation to the levels, each section grows in absurdity, and the strange encounters just expand further and further. The dialogue is humorous and witty, and the world's absurdity is as clear as day. It's not trying to take itself seriously. One of my favorite encounters is with a rogue AI that deviated from his dance-loving automaton companions who forced their club members to dance and started their, his own club? And yeah, you guessed it, this club doesn't allow dancing at all. I guess he's the dad from Dirty Dancing in robot form, possibly? I don't know. So obviously, as one would assume, if they're not inside dancing, he's controlling them, of course, with disco heads for some reason. It's a hilarious contrast to the dance slaves and the really kind of dance-centric, hostile and jolly AI that he's normally from. It was just a really kind of cool encounter, and it gets revisited once or twice, and it's just fun. Anomaly Agent is a bit short in terms of gameplay. I think in total it took me about 4.5 hours to complete, and thankfully there is a New Game Plus mode that starts you off with your previous unlocks. Obviously that's how a New Game Plus mode would work, but plus there also appears to be a game mode coming later in an update that is probably just a permadeath mode. So maybe really you'll get about 4 to 8 hours out of Anomaly Agent if you play it again. Not too shabby, and I do think it is the perfect runtime, despite the story feeling like it ended a bit short. All in all, if Anomaly Agent isn't on your radar, I certainly hope it is now. It's a great 2D action adventure game that grows in complexity and challenge as you go. The combat is fluid, almost like Nidhogg. Maybe a bit hard to grasp at first, but over time you become a master of the element. The story is fairly intricate and really hooks you once the time paradox stuff starts to factor in. The only downside is how quickly it wraps up and leaves you with a couple questions. And this might be a spoiler, but there are 2 endings, as you would guess with a morality system. I will leave that to you to figure out. I'm not going to spoil those for you. But if you're looking for a game that'll challenge you and make you feel like an absolute badass simply just by getting to the next screen, then Anomaly Agent is absolutely for you. And I just want to take a second to thank Few Games for the opportunity to play and review this wonderful title. They did provide me with a review code after I asked, so thank you so much. And thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe to, my channel, or simply by liking this video. I've also got a Patreon that for $5 a month, you can get your name in the credits of the video, and that would start on the month that you subscribed. The link for that is in the description. It was so incredible to see the turnout on the Midnight Suns video I posted 2 weeks back, and I'm still kind of in shock to see the viewer count on that one. To some of you, it may not seem like a lot. There's a lot of YouTubers that get thousands and thousands of views. But it's so much to me personally, and I thank you for this chance to just talk to you about games that I enjoy. It means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you have a good one.